rivers which are crossing the borders, which are the transboundary rivers. And over here, this dark blue color is showing the extent of these transboundary international basin all around the world. If you see Europe over here, because there are small countries, many transboundary rivers. China and Russia have big transboundary rivers. If we see our part, here is the Indus Basin and Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna Basin over here, and then some of the South Asia Basin, Africa, one of the Nile Basin over here, and other Orange Basin over here, and South America and the North America. So they are spread all around the world without any limitation of area, and some are only shared by two countries, and there are some basins which are shared by as many as 18 and 19 countries. One river being shared by 18 independent entities, and how difficult it would be. And I will tell you that that basin is being managed in a very better manner, in a very advanced manner, through the help of the latest techniques and with the help of the agreement and the legal framework they have coined, they have developed for managing their basin. So main factors about this transboundary basin is that they are containing 42% of the population of the world. 2.8 billion people are living in the area which are under catchment of the transboundary rivers, and 42% of the land is also being drained by these rivers. If we focus on the Europe, here are some of the here are some of the basins, rather all of the basins of the Europe. 68 basins are transboundary basin as big as Volga Basin over here, and as small as very small basins over here, Oder Basin and Ebro Basin. And one of the basin which I was saying that it encompasses 19 different countries, that is the Danube Basin, which contains start from the Germany and goes to the Black Sea over here on the southeast side of the Europe. If we see the picture on the Asia side, there are about 60 transboundary river basins, and some of these basins have the characteristics that they are the most populous basin in the world. For example, Ganga Basin is said to be most populous river basin in the world, and some of the basins are joining those nations which are literally at war in the past with each other. Still, those basins are being managed with the help of the agreement and the legal framework between these countries. So this is the background of the world river basin. Now I would like to go into a little bit more in detail about 5 these basins and what legal framework is available to them. When I say legal framework, I mean if they have some agreement between them, if this agreement is between all the countries which is sharing the water, if this agreement is under the Treaty Act of the UN, or it is a mutual agreement between them. So if somehow they have some legal framework available to them, so that is considered a good practice, and that should be further enhanced and further improved. First of all, my own basin in which we are much concerned about it, and that is the Indus River Basin, which is home to about 300 million people. And this basin is shared between mainly 4 countries: Pakistan, India, China, Afghanistan. Hopefully in the next presentations by the other speakers, we will be having in-depth detail of the background of the Indus Water Treaty, which was signed in 1960. But briefly, I will tell you what are the main features of the Indus Water Treaty. This basin is sometimes presented before the world as the basin with a treaty which have lived through many wars. Although the countries which had the agreement between them, they were at war, but still the treaty continued and it was not abrogated. But we have listened the remarks from both the countries, very harsh remarks from both the countries from time to time. But still, the treaty which was signed in 1960 between the 2 of the riparian countries, not all the riparian countries, that continue to work and perform in a good way. So if we see geographically, 47% of the basin lies in the territory of Pakistan, while 39% catchment area lies in India, while China and Afghanistan share 8 and 6%. Out of these four countries, only two countries have an agreement between each other, Pakistan and India, which is called as Indus Water Treaty, which was signed in 1960. This treaty was based upon the sharing of the water, the division of the water. Some of the eastern rivers were given to India. Their water was allocated to India, and they had the full right to use it. While on the western rivers, which were called as the Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum, Pakistan was given the unrestricted use of that water, with certain permission to India that they can use the water of the western river with strict limitations attached to that. Sorry for my sore throat. So, important feature of this treaty is that India has to inform about any intervention in the upper regions at least 6 months in advance, so that if there are any objections, Pakistan can raise those objections. And there was a very good conflict or dispute resolution mechanism available. 3 steps dispute resolution is available. One is through the Indus Water Commission itself. Second step is through neutral expert, and the third step is through the court of arbitration. All these steps have been evoked by different member countries, and they have performed well in past. If we go through the second basin, Ganga Brahmaputra Meghna Basin, that is called as one of the most populous basin in the world. They don't have a treaty or agreement between all the sharing nations. It is shared by Nepal, it is shared by Bangladesh, India, and Tibet. About 500 million people live in this. Problem with this basin, or the concerns over here, are raised quite frequently by Bangladesh, that in the dry season, when they are in need of water, India don't release water. So they had several agreements, and one of the final agreement at for the distribution of water at the Fraka Barrage or Fraka Dam, which is the downstream most station in India. After that, water enters into Bangladesh. So water distribution at Fraka was agreed upon between these two countries as listed in the table underneath. And that distribution was effective for the 5-month period in a year. During the dry months of the year, they have agreed that if water is very less than the 70,000 cubic, half of the water will be shared by each. If it is between up to 75,000, then 35,000 will be given to Bangladesh, and the rest will be with the India. And similarly, if it was more than 75,000, then I think 40,000 was for India, and the rest was released to Bangladesh. This has been said to be effective for 30 years, but it can be extended if both countries agree. One of the other basin of Asia, in South Asia, in Southeast Asia, is Mekong Basin, which is shared by China at the top, then a small part with the Myanmar and Vietnam. Then bulk is shared between Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia. Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and they share about 20%, while China has 21% in the upper part, while Vietnam and Myanmar have small watershed in this basin, 8% and 3%. It is smaller than Indus Basin, which was more than 1 million kilometers square. It is about 0.8 million kilometers square. They don't have a treaty between all the neighboring countries, all the riparian countries. They have a kind of agreement between 4 riparian nations, and those are the lower ones: Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and Thailand. And it was signed in 1995, And I was in Thailand at that time doing my master's over there, and it was signed in one of the city of Thailand over there. The good thing of this agreement is that, which I don't see in our treaty, in Indus Basin Treaty, that this is agreement for sustainable development of the Mekong River Basin. They carry out and they call this agreement as agreement for sustainable development of the Mekong River Basin. It is not like sharing of the water, so much percentage will be with you, so much percent. And for coming up with these sustainable development plans and issues, they have coined these three-level committees. One is the top-level council, that is a ministerial level committee. Then at the second, which is an expert level committee, they call it joint committee. So that is usually constituting the head of departments, relevant department by this committee. And one is they have established a permanent secretariat headed by a chief executive officer and the technical staff with him. So these three things, I think this council can be said to be nearly equal to our Indus Water Commission or commissioners. But I see missing joint committee and the full-fledged technical secretariat. And the duties of these secretariats and the joint committee is to propose the development plan for sustainable development of the Mekong Basin in these four countries. And they have power and right to get the data and collect the data from any of the participant countries. And I think it is working well, and they want to extend it further to other countries. I think one of the upper riparian, China is not part of this agreement. But still, with respect to development in these four countries, this Mekong River agreement has played a very vital role, and it is still playing it. And they have support of the United Nations Institute over there, UNSCAPE. They are supporting this Mekong River agreement quite fully. They have the conflict resolution mechanism more or less similar to that as Indus Basin, and they resolve the conflict first at the council level, then they send it to the government level to resolve it, and then other options are also open. One of the basin which I will praise, which I will recommend that we should try to follow some of the good practices they are doing, is the new River Basin in Europe. Largest basin with respect to number of the countries in this basin, and about 80,000 kilometers square is its area, not big with respect to area, and 10% of the population is covered under this. They have a good agreement between them, and the countries which are involved in this basin are Germany, Austria, Hungary, Bulgaria, and other countries like Yugoslavia, Bosnia-Herzegovina. So about 18, 19 countries are part of this. They have a good agreement. They call it the New River Protection Convention. Now see the difference in the name. We have Indus Basin Treaty, and that is only sharing, how to share water of 3 rivers over here and 3 rivers over here, how to resolve the conflict. That don't talk about future development plans of both the countries. So they have proposed, or they have coined this convention or agreement. They call it River Protection Convention. So their focus is on the improvement of the livelihood of the river itself, the environment of the river itself, the ecology system over there, quality of the water over there. So their focus is on these things. And for assuring these things, they have to take the measures to reduce the pollution loads in the river over there. And they exchange information, and they carry out the research studies. So they have a research and development wing under this Danube River Protection Convention. And the institute they are having is International Commission for Protection of the Danube River. If we go to their website, we will see a wealth of knowledge about how they are doing the protection, how they are involving the community to protect this river. So some of the good practices we can borrow from them, and some of the good practices we can borrow from the Mekong River Basin, and we can further improve the conditions. Although we are working in a relative better way, we cannot say that we are failure. But if we want to further improve the condition of Indus Basin or the basins in the Asia, we can get some good practices being followed by the other nations. Nile River Basin, if we go through it, people say, or the Egyptian people say, Nile is gift to Egypt and Egypt is gift of the Nile. Considering this statement, the Egyptian people are of the belief that they own all the water. So they had an agreement between Sudan, one of the riparian nation, and Egypt. So if you see, here is the Nile River alignment. Upper part is over here in the south, while the lower reaches are in the north. So one of the tributary is called as a Blue Nile. One of the tributary of this Nile is called as the White Nile. Blue Nile contributes about 80% of the water, and that catchment is lying in Ethiopia. Although there is an agreement between Sudan and Egypt, which was signed in 1959, but no other riparian country is part of that agreement. And when that agreement was carried out in 1959, that agreement was called as agreement to fully utilize the Nile waters. And who were the two parties? One was Egypt and one was Sudan. And they carried out an agreement to fully 100% they shared the water of the Nile without considering the upper riparians. And now when the demand of the water and the power generated in the upper riparian, and when Ethiopia started developing its hydropower station over there, then conflict rose between Egypt and Ethiopia, and still that conflict is going on. Harsh word, as harsh as that all options are open. They give a political statement like this. If Egypt is the Nile's gift, then the Nile is the gift to Egypt. This is the Morsi, President Morsi statement as given by the BBC in 2013. They say that the lives of the Egyptian are connected around it. As one great people, if it diminishes by one drop, then our blood is the alternative. So such kind of rhetorics and harsh words have been used by the presidents and the leaders of both the nations over there. So when Ethiopia wanted to...
You have only 5 minutes to complete your presentation. Only 5 minutes are left, please.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. So they have, when they started to build their dam, and it is constructed already, and now they are in the filling stage, but still they don't have an agreement how to fill it. Some initiatives are being carried out over there. They call it Nile Basin Initiative, and they call it Cooperative Framework Agreement, but still they are at horn to horn, and they have not finalized the agreement how to fill. Problem will come when they will fill that large reservoir for hydropower, and water will be affected on the downstream reaches, so that will cause a problem. Egypt want that their current uses should be secured, while Ethiopia say you carried out agreement without our consultation, so we are not bound to your agreement between Sudan and Egypt. So that is a problem. So reviewing this, what I have found that if there are some out of these treaties, some are the partial treaties. For example, not all the countries are part of those treaties. Indus, Ganga, Mekong, Nile, all the Danube is Danube Basin is incorporating all the riparian countries, but there are many treaties which are not encompassing all the riparian nations. While treaty which are in Asia, for some example, Indus, Ganga, and Nile. And Nile is in Africa. So they are focused on division of water. So much amount of water will be yours, so much amount of water will be mine. They are not focusing on the sustainable development. So that is what I have found, that these treaties should take care of the future development also, and they should devise the mechanism for giving the sustainable development plans at the basin level, not at the country level. At the basin level, they should provide it. So like Mekong is doing it, like the Danube is doing it. And these treaty which are not having some technical wings with them, so those technical wings or technical committees should be part of it. And conflict resolution mechanism which are present effectively in Indus, Mekong, Danube, these should be replicated in other basins where such conflict resolution mechanism are not there. So a second part contains the issues which have been highlighted by the Transboundary River Basin assessment program. This was done by United Nations Environment Program and DHI collaboration under the GEF Global Environment Fund program. So they highlighted that the flood and droughts in the next 30-40 years in these transboundary river will enhance. They are saying that because the legal agreement are not widespread, the political tension will also enhance in these transboundary river basins. Water stress, whether it is human context or environment context, that water stress will also enhance in the future. And they have highlighted that and they have recommended that if legal framework is agreed between the riparian nation, that can help reduce these stresses and these problems in the transboundary rivers. And we should go through this report. They have a very good database of all the transboundary rivers, highlighting where are the environmental stress, where are the pollution stress, where are the floods and droughts expected in the next few decades, and where there are weakness in the legal framework, and where there are chances of hydropower potential. So with this background, I recommend that we should develop or adopt legal framework for sustainable development and protection of the waters, environment, population of all the basins. I'm not focusing on Indus Basin. So all the transboundary basin, they should have some kind of the legal framework, and we can learn from the legal framework being followed in other places. If there is some legal framework already present, then it should include the latest or modern principles which are widely accepted by the United Nations and by the world. The legal framework which are already agreed between the countries, they should include the principle of not to cause any significant harm. This principle should be part of all the legal frameworks or the agreements. Second thing, principle of cooperation should be highlighted in those agreements, because cooperation will lead to the positive or win-win situation of all the riparian nation. And the principle of sharing data. When you hold the data, then concerns rises, and when concern rises, they rise to the conflict and maybe rise to the higher levels. So sharing of the data should be the norm of the riparian nations, so that we can live in a better world in the coming days, and we leave a better basin and better nations for our future generation. So thank you very much. I conclude over here, and thanks again for the participants for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lu, for your nice presentation. I think the principle of cooperation is the basic requirement for any agreement. Our next speaker is Dr. Jahanzib Masood Chima. Dr. Chima is Associate Professor in Arid University, Rawalpindi. He has expertise in remote sensing, precision agriculture, GIS, and hydrological modeling. Dr. Chima will talk about the Pakistan's water security in transboundary perspective. So over to Dr. Jahanzib Masood Chima.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ghulam Nabi Sahab. Let me check whether we can share screen. Okay. Is this working now?
No, sir. Try again to share your screen.
Okay. Please share it again. It's not done.
I think it should work now. Is this working, Dr. Sahab?
Not yet.
If anybody else is sharing the screen, please stop sharing your screens. I have stopped sharing my screen.
Yeah, that's the reason maybe. Let me try again.
If you go to the share screen, Dr. Wes, Dr. Jahanzeb,
Is
if
it
you go
working
to
now? I think
yes, now
I
now
think
I
it should work now.
No, it's okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Ghulam Nabi Sahab, and good morning and Assalamu alaikum everybody of this webinar. Dr. Noor Muhammad Khan Sahab has excellently described the transboundary river basins of the world and their treaties as well as their conflicts. So, but in my talk, I will talk more about on transboundary Indus Basin with Pakistani perspective. So this is, title of my talk as well. Basically, this presentation was taken from the book chapter that me and Dr. Fazilda Nabil, we are actually writing together on Pakistan transboundary challenges in our upcoming book on Pakistan water outlook. So some of these, information as well as some sort of recommendations is actually from that book chapter as well. Before going into the, into my presentation, I normally like to, show this beautiful picture of transboundary Indus Basin, that we are really blessed nation that we are having variety of.
His screen? Are you seeing his presentation?
Yes, I think it's okay.
Is it
The screen is okay.
working or not? Everybody can see.
I think it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, yes, sir.
If somebody has problem, please raise hand.
Okay.
Sir, yes, it's working here also.
Perfect. So, we are blessed with these water towers that we have large number of glaciers over there in the north, and then we have one of the large dams in the world that we have Tarbela, Mangla, then Theen, then Bhagliar as well. That's basically I am talking about entire transboundary Indus Basin, and we are blessed with very fertile plains where we are actually growing like 5 major crops and a lot of other crops as well. And then if we talk about the Indus, then we also have a special species of blind dolphins over here that really one of the species that actually exist only in this part of the world, and then mangroves. So we are really blessed with all these type of things. But at the same time, if we talk about Pakistan is ranked as 6th largest population in the world. Then unfortunately, we are having large area of agricultural land, but unfortunately 77th in World Food Security Index. That is really alarming as well. But at the same time, the thing is that we are having about 8th in climate risk index and 14th extremely high water stress country. So at one side we are depending upon agriculture. We are having a lot of dependence on the agriculture, and we are actually existing only because of agriculture. But we are also depending upon the water that is being available through our rivers, specifically in Indus and other its tributaries. But at the same time, we are not our water security is not assured. Sometimes we're having a lot of water, then resulting into floods, but other time we are having droughts as well. So, this is the background of whole this scenario that I would like to develop over here. That's what I was saying, like about 92% of water is for agriculture, but about 32% shortfall in water availability for agriculture is expected by 2025. So we are, full-fledgedly developing based on our river waters for agriculture, but shortage is there. It's either due to shift of rainfall patterns, it's either due to climate change and all other things, but also it is because of the control of water flows on both sides of this transboundary Indus Basin. And if here I would like to give you some figures about land and water productivity in Pakistan and India. That's mostly basically Indian Punjab and Pakistani Punjab. So you can see that our water productivity is also lower as compared to India.